When I came back from a 6-month humanitarian mission overseas, I was ready for jet lag, a mountain of junk mail, and maybe a passive-aggressive note from a neighbor about my lawn. But instead, I came home to something so insane, so surreal, that for a split second I actually wondered if I had gone crazy because there was a completely different family living in my house. I wish I was joking. I stepped out of the cab, still smelling like red dirt and mosquito repellent, dragged my suitcase up the driveway, and there it was, toys in the yard, someone else's car in the garage, curtains I didn't recognize in the windows. I thought maybe I got the address wrong. Then the front door opened and some guy, mid-40s, wearing socks with sandals, asked if he could help me like I was the one selling magazines. I told him slowly, "Yeah, I live here." He blinked. "Oh, no, you don't. We bought this place 4 months ago." Now let me back up a sec. I'm not some guy who disappeared without a trace. I told my neighbors I'd be gone. I paused my mail. My mortgage was on autopay. I even left my truck in the HOA storage lot with a big sign taped inside that said, "Owner overseas on service." There was zero confusion on my part. But somehow, and this is where it starts getting wild, someone had declared me dead. Yeah. Legally, officially, fake funeral and everything. The guy at my door had the paperwork, a death certificate with my full name, birthday, and a phony, peaceful cardiac arrest, at a hospice that doesn't even exist. I flipped through the pages and there it was, a notarized signature from none other than Karen. Now, if you've ever lived in a suburban neighborhood, you already know who Karen is, president of the HOA, self-appointed queen of property codes, always watching, always judging, always 2 steps away from calling code enforcement over a dandelion. Karen lived across the street, and when she saw me standing there, she dropped her iced coffee like she'd seen a ghost. I crossed the street and asked her what the hell was going on. She didn't even flinch. Said, "We tried to contact you. You didn't respond, so the board followed protocol." Protocol? For what? Faking someone's death and selling their house? She actually handed me a sympathy card. I swear to God. Like that was gonna make this okay. The next day I went straight to the county clerk's office. The woman at the desk looked like she'd seen Bigfoot when she checked my ID. According to the system, I was legally deceased. I asked to see the certificate. It was all their fake hospice, forged doctor's signature, even a bogus was saying I wanted my home turned into a community enrichment property for the HOA. And guess who notarized that with too? Karen's niece. Realtor, notary, part-time scam artist. It didn't stop there. Karen had filed an abandonment claim, citing overgrown grass and health hazards, and under some obscure clause, the HOA had authority to liquidate unclaimed property after 120 days. She railroaded the process while I was literally digging latrines for a refugee camp. And get this, they held a memorial barbecue for me. I found it in the meeting minutes. A moment of silence followed by grilled hot dogs in his memory. I knew I needed legal help, but I also needed to make sure the new owners understood the mess they were dragged into. Turns out, they paid above market value brokered by Karen's niece, of course, and they were horrified. Totally blindsided. I showed them my ID, my deployment orders, my face on a charity's website. They apologized profusely, said they'd cooperate with whatever came next. But Karen wasn't done. She tried to have my truck towed, claimed it was abandoned property. I had to physically stop the tow truck and threaten legal action just to keep it. That's when I realized, this wasn't incompetence. This was intentional. So I filed reports, sheriff's office, district attorney, even the state HOA board. And then I called an old friend who works for a federal agency. Sent him all the documents. He called me back 30 minutes later and said, "This isn't just about your house. Karen's HOA has done this before. Elderly folks. Terminally ill. Deployed service members. I was just the unlucky one who came back to fight. I started sleeping in my truck, parked in front of my old house. I filmed myself holding my ID in front of the mailbox. I created backups of every document. And then I showed up to the next HOA meeting real early. Karen was there, handing out donuts like she was hosting a bake sale. The second she saw me, her face drained of all color. Meeting started. Budget talks. Community updates. Then came the agenda item, confirmation of property transfers. I stood up and said, "Are we also confirming fake funerals today, or is that in the next section?" Dead silence. Karen accused me of impersonating a dead man. I laid out my passport, humanitarian ID, a video of me on a mountainside in Nepal from 3 weeks earlier. I said, "Do I look dead to you?" The room exploded. Some people gasped, others laughed. Karen tried to pivot, said it was all a clerical error. But one board member finally cracked, said he never saw the abandonment paperwork. Another asked how the fake hospice was verified. Karen fumbled, claimed it came from an anonymous tip. The whole thing unraveled like a sweater in a washing machine. But the cherry on top. A week later, my truck had a dead plant placed on the hood and a note that said, "Maybe ghosts don't belong in the living community." Karen was still playing games. But I wasn't playing anymore. I brought in a real estate attorney named Jennifer, old college friend with a mean streak for corrupt boards. She took one look at my case and said, "This isn't a lawsuit. This is a wrecking ball." We filed immediately. Fraudulent sale. Falsified death. Identity theft. And while the courts churned, we launched our own campaign. I built a website, "I'm not dead, but my HOA ethics are." Posted all the evidence documents, video clips, even a copy of the sympathy card. It went viral. News stations picked it up. And then the story started pouring in. Other victims, neighbors with eerily similar tales. And here's the twist: we set up a sting. Karen was trying to sell another abandoned property, an elderly woman's house. The woman's niece let us in on the plan. We sent in a federal agent posing as a buyer, cameras rolling. Karen gave the whole sales pitch. When the agent asked about the death certificate, Karen brushed it off. That's when he stepped aside and the real agents came in. She was cuffed on the spot. But she didn't go quietly. She got out on bail, vanished. Then doorbell cam footage caught her sneaking into her tennis coach's house in disguise, ranting about faking her own death next. That video went viral. Again. Eventually, they caught her. And watching her in court sunglasses, fake neck brace, talking about conspiracies and outsiders infiltrating the HOA, it was like watching a low-budget courtroom drama. The judge wasn't having it. Called her behavior predatory. Denied her bail. Reinstated my property rights, ordered restitution. Karen got sentenced to 3 years federal time, plus probation. Her HOA empire crumbled. The board disbanded. Every shady fine, every trumped-up violation under review. We rewrote the bylaws, installed community-elected leadership, even opened a park on one of our seized properties. The best part. Karen's house was auctioned off. A nonprofit bought it and turned it into a resource center for people dealing with HOA harassment. I helped design the place. Hung a photo of me standing in front of my home, still covered in dust, holding my passport like a shield. And right below it, a sign that reads, "If they try to erase you, carve your name in stone." Now, before you go, let me ask you this. What would you have done? Was I justified, or did I take it too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think about power, property, and people like Karen who think they're untouchable.